Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue, tous les personnes français aussi. Et thank you very much and welcome everybody. I think I've covered off all of the appropriate welcomes. Given the diverse range of people that we have to announce today, nothing makes me more excited than this charter school project. Of all of the things that the government gets into and that I get involved in and beaten up for, this is really the thing I think gives a huge amount of hope to New Zealand, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, what sort of society you are, if you want to know where you're going to be in 10, 20, 30 years' time, just ask the simple question: how much knowledge is being passed from one generation to the next, and how enthusiastically is that next generation embracing the knowledge that their elders are passing on? Universally true. And it doesn't matter how much natural resources you have or what the weather's like or how wealthy you are today, where you are in 10, 20 and 30 years' time depends on that simple question. And if we're honest with ourselves as a country, we've got some big problems. The most obvious is the number of students who don't show up. Students who are disengaged cannot learn, because while it's challenging to learn at school, and I'm sure many of us are aware of that, I've got an academic record that shows how challenging it can be, it is impossible if you're not actually at school. And so we have a problem even just from the fact that students aren't showing up. We would like to be able to solve those problems by just doing it better and trying harder. But the truth is, we know that at some point you need to bring new ideas and new innovations into the fold to create that connection between generations so the knowledge can cross over that bridge. And that's why I get so excited and get so much hope from charter schools, because we accept that not every good idea for education exists within the ministry. They have a lot of good ideas, but they don't have all of the good ideas. Often those good ideas exist out in the community, ground up. And I'm very grateful at the quality and calibre of people that have set forth to be part of this kaupapa or this journey. I must acknowledge Jane Lee, who's the Chief Executive of the Charter School Agency. It's difficult to overstate what she and the agency have achieved in a very short space of time, bringing together a group of people to negotiate contracts and sign up a whole lot of school sponsors to be able to start schools next February. I must also acknowledge Justine Mann. Until quite recently, the principal of St Cuthbert's College, indisputably one of, if not the leading academic school in New Zealand. Justine brings incredible pedigree, having been a principal for many years, to give real credible leadership to the authorisation board. But I also have to acknowledge Professor Rito. Where's she gone? For my money, New Zealand's foremost education academic. And the great thing about Elizabeth is nobody dies wondering where you stand with her or where she stands on any particular issue. So kia ora, Elizabeth, it's great to have you here. But it's not just about education. The figures have to add up. And so we're very grateful to have on the board the Chief Executive of Forsyth Bar, a prominent Wellington business person in the form of Neil Pavwa-Smith. So we're very grateful that he's made himself available. However, all of this is just the infrastructure that allows the charter school policy to occur. The real magic is in those people who come forth and are prepared to operate the charter schools and engage those students and build that bridge between generations. There is one who is not present today, and they won't be able to speak for themselves. They're from Christchurch. I suspect that they may have had issues with the border, passports, something of the like, prevented them from being here today. However, Christchurch North College is an example of what every charter school has in common: innovation. It is actually a project of a group of state school principals who have said there are students in our community that we admit what we're doing isn't working. It's not for lack of trying. It's not that they're not good people. It's not that they're not devoted. It's not that they don't have resources. they've simply said, we don't know how to get these students engaged, or at least if we do know, we don't believe we can do it within our current setting. So Christchurch North College will be a middle school for years 7 to 10. We're sponsored by Christchurch Education Limited, and it's a group of principals who have come together to tackle the problem of disengagement in their area. They will develop individualised learning plans tailored for each student, providing lunches, stationery, uniform and access to technology at no cost. And this is another thing that each charter school has in common. They are not getting more money per student than state schools, despite what you may hear. It's the same amount. What we do is give it to them in the form of cash such that they can use their money in order to apply it in the way that works best. And that total flexibility gives rise to initiative, it gives rise to new ways of doing things, and it gives rise to connection. I gave my greetings before in English, Māori and French. I wasn't sure what to say for the Australians in the room, but you cobbers are very welcome. Busy School has 9 campuses in Australia, starting out of Queensland. They have an exceptional record of creating vocational pathways for students who may have decided that school in the current format is not for them. This school specialises in connecting them with opportunities in the vocational workforce as their educational journey comes to an end. They need a bit more momentum, a bit more hope and a bit more vision about where they're going. And in Australia it's been wildly successful. 70% of their 2023 students progressed to employment or further study post-graduation. 74% achieved a Queensland Certificate of Education. I'll try and avoid the obligatory jokes. I'm sure it's a very rigorous qualification. And 88% of students were awarded one or more vocational qualifications, while 43% of graduates either completed or are completing school-based apprenticeship or traineeship. So when you add it all up, they have a sensational track record, getting the overwhelming majority of students who came to them because they were disengaged out the other side feeling good about themselves. And I want to just say that's another important part of the charter school kaupapa, is that yes, we are here to get children to attend school. Yes, we're here to give them skills that will help them navigate their own lives in the 21st century. But the thing that really gets me about charter schools is that they're about giving children the opportunity to build their self-esteem. And it's summed up by something I will never forget. Shortly after I was elected in 2014, I'd been part of the initial charter school journey back in those years. A girl came up to me at Vanguard Military School and she said, I never knew I was smart until I came here. And that, I suspect, is a lot of what's happened at Busy School, and it's what I believe will happen at all of these charters, is that children will discover in themselves a level of ability that even they didn't previously believe that they had. You'll see how diverse and different these schools are. Now we're going to go way, way, way up north to somewhere close to where I started out in life, in Te Tai Tokoro or Northland. Te Rito, Te Kura Taiao, is a school that already has, it says in my notes here, 3 successful full immersion puna reo. Now that's wrong, because these guys are growing so fast that since they applied to operate a charter, they have gone up to 4. So these notes say 120 mokapuna and 3 puna reo. That is untrue. There are now 150 with 4. These guys have figured out how to get people engaged in education in the far north. And being from Northland, I know that's challenging. I know it's a place that's not without its challenges. But we are allowing these people, first of all, to operate a puna reo. They've done so well at that, and that's a wonderful government policy. The flexibility we have in early childhood should be replicated in the compulsory sector. Now it will be, and I'm just sorry to everyone that we weren't able to have this up at Cable Bay near Kaitaia, but as it turned out, due to the government's tight fiscal circumstances, we've had to do it in a generic-looking Ministry of Education office building in central Auckland. But maybe in the future we'll be able to visit Te Rito. Now, École Française Internationale, Auckland. This is very special. You may not have heard of this before, but the Agency for French Education Abroad accredits education that is, first of all, continuous for anybody who is a French expat, but perhaps more importantly from the point of view of New Zealand students. it offers a new way of doing education that is normal in France, but new to many New Zealanders. And so I think this is formidable, magnifique, the opportunity that it will offer to students. It's going to be bilingual in English and French, but it is also accredited by the French government. So it's a different way of looking at education and standards. And I suspect that it might be quite popular because the French have a lot to be proud of and a lot of success to point to in their way of doing things, which is sometimes quite different from ours. This is a perfect example of the kind of diversity that we need to bring. Finally, these are just short précis. They're going to tell you the real oil about how these schools work. Northwest Creative Arts College. This is going to be based in Auckland. It's going to have students from year 7 to 13, and it's going to be co-education, not in the sense of boys and girls, although it will have both genders, but it's going to have the New Zealand curriculum alongside a creative art of their choice. So once again, this is about bringing people from outside the education system as we currently think about it, who have expertise, who can engage students and get those students feeling like actually what they're doing is a valuable thing that connects with relevance to their life. It's all about building that bridge between generations, that knowledge can pass across and futures can be built on. Finally, I just reiterate, these schools will all have strict targets. There will be in their contracts levels of achievement in the NCEA or equivalent, for example, the International Baccalaureate for École Française Internationale. But there will also be, attendance targets of 90% for all students. Now, to some extent, these targets will be adjusted for the level of EQI of the students who actually attend the school. And I'll just say, for people who have asked, some people will say, well, these targets are lower than the government's targets for NCEA and attendance. That is true. However, these contracts are high stakes. We have in the past, a previous government has shut down a charter school for underperformance. We don't shut down other schools for underperformance. We obviously, that won't be our first step, but we need to be really clear that we are paying for performance and we're giving flexible funding in response for outcomes. And I believe that all of the sponsors, with the talents they bring, their connections to the community and the innovations that they have, are more than capable of hitting these targets, but that is fundamentally the deal. So it's probably enough for me. I think on the run sheet it said David speak for about 2 minutes, but look, I can't help it. I'm a politician, I'm a captive audience. So.